Sonoran Desert. And that's because of the mountains that protect this moisture down by San Diego. So that spine is from a Shaw's agave, and that spine has been there for only 3 or 4 months. It had Shaw's agave. When that spine falls over, and it will very shortly, the whole plant will die. There are other agaves that we will see that won't die, but this one only blooms about once every 18 to 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And this has come up in the last 6 months.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and it will
Great time. Wow.
Oh, I missed the bloom.
This tree here is a jojoba tree.
Jojoba? Is that what they make the moisturizer
Yes,
with?
that's what they make.
Oh, it's
a lot
sprouting.
Of valuable oils.
Nice.
No, I think it has flowers on it.
Has the yellow flowers?
Those are asparagus.
No, the tree doesn't.
Oh, this is a desert willow, the same thing.
Oh, the desert.
Like the jojoba tree, this tree will grow where there's a fault zone, because in fault zones, more moisture comes to the top. So Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Palm this and Palm that are always on fault.
Very invasive.
This specimen's beautiful.
Yeah. Often they're red, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can't cut them down.
I've only got to point to these, and I won't go
Now
into
these are beets. You don't want these, right?
That's
Unintended? They're an unintended plant, right?
No, they're native plants.
I don't like them.
Well, they're toxic and they are hallucinogenic.
I know, but I know.
Perfect.
They take over.
They do require a lot of sun. Put them in the shade.
Here.
They're a tiny little thing.
Wow, look how beautiful they are.
This was the original entrance to the garden here. And when they designed it, Lockwood DeForest and Beatrice Ferrand designed this whole thing to be like a picture.
That's
when you come
beautiful.
and stand at the end, you look down. That was before the redwoods.
Is it Lockwood Junior?
Yeah, Lockwood DeForest.
Isn't this your background that you have when you do Zoom?
Take it then.
What's that?
Summer one starts in like
He has a back when he's on Zoom class. This is his background. It's this.
Oh, okay. Hey, good deal.
That oak tree is impressive.
That is it.
I thought it was Lewis, but you were the one with the last.
Yeah.
Oh, happy turtles. Oh, no, don't spook the turtles.
Maybe I'll just do that in the quick library one.
What's that? Like Phoebe? Yeah.
Back just close up.
Oh
Where is it?
yeah. Zoom people will love that.
Right there.
A nature documentary.
I did it. You might as well. I was a PE class short, and I was already in UCSB, and so I said, screw it, and I just went and got a bachelor's.
You did State College before?
Right, so then I took the PE class
summer or
and the
something?
library class, and then I got the associates that I should have gotten. It was like a liberal arts associate or something. But yeah, I would recommend giving it. While, I mean, if you've already gone through the associates program, or
Right,
all
they've
the
done
GEs,
almost. I think
if you've
Noah's
all
done
the
everything.
GEs, then
Zach,
you
I
should
think,
do
is
it. I would get the associates first.
One of those annoying asynchronous classes where the teacher hasn't actually changed anything. One of these in person.
The largest of the native California grasses.
Oh, the
I
giant
don't
wild
want to get into the native grasses, but as you heard before, native grasses were largely infected by the introduced grasses from Europe because of the cows and the sheep and the horses. I don't know how much you, I've just been through trying to explain California history in 1/2 hour to 4th graders.
Oh, nice.
And I laid it on, man. I said, the cattle were taken over at one point, and what happened after there was a catastrophic flood, which you may or may not know, in California in 1860. And it wiped out a lot of the cattle that were left over from the old Mexican.
the Central Valley, right?
Yeah.
Like a lake.
And it was in Santa Barbara, within a couple of months, we got 100 inches of rain. And it filled,
100 inches?
yes, and it filled in the estuary where UCSB is today.
Oh, wow.
There was once an island there and a community. But anyway, that sounds bad enough, and it did in a lot of the cattle. Even worse it was followed by 2 years of drought, which killed the rest of the cattle. So these guys had done pretty well raising cattle from Mexican citizens,
Interesting.
and at that time it was still Mexican, part of Mexico. They were able to sell their cattle when the gold rush came, and they made hundreds of thousands of dollars. But then the flood wiped them out. And then after that 2 years of drought,
Paying that much for cattle. And having
first of all,
them die.
the gold rush brought a lot of Yankees in from the east. But after that flood and drought, what's happening back east? The Civil War is over. A lot more Yankees came out, and they bought up all of this useless land, which had been used for cattle for a couple hundred years. And they bought up this land, 7 cents an acre.
Right, cheap.
Sergeant Gutierrez, I'm familiar with the Sedgwick Reserve. Sergeant Gutierrez had to petition. He retired as a soldier from the Presidio, where he'd been for 20 years. Large family, 9 daughters and 1 son. And he had to petition Pio Pico for land grant. Oh, okay, take 48,000 acres.
Wow.
And that wasn't unusual.
The son's
A
probably
lot of
younger.
Mexico had just
Quick
become
for a son.
independent short time before. They'd split off from Spain, became their own country. But anyway, I don't want to bore you with all this, but
That's fascinating.
when the Yankees came out after the gold rush and brought up all this land, it was then the lawyers got involved.
Then it got real.
And then it got real, and they divided up. So the Sedgwick, where I volunteer, is 6,000 acres. Originally part of the Gutierrez land grant. That's how I know about Gutierrez. And it was Gutierrez's son, of course. Sergeant Gutierrez retired, and he stayed in Santa Barbara, became a prominent citizen. But they had been working as Spanish and Mexican. I go into the history of the missions too. But what happened? This is the bottom line. I won't bore you anymore. What happened to Mexico in 1846, 1845, the Mexican-American War? Now think about this. The Mexican-American War is just like what Russia is doing to Ukraine today. No excuse who came, and that's how we got Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico,
Colorado too, right?
little parts of Colorado. There were Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, which had been a problem even before the Mexican-American War. And that problem was about slavery. Don't let anybody tell you any different. The Mexican-American War had its origins in a dispute among Yankees about who's going to be a slave state and who's going to not be a slave state. Anyway, they got about a third of what was then Mexico. Same way the Russians would like to get to Ukraine. So look into that. That's where General Grant got his start. He was an officer.
Got a golf cart behind.
Hey,
Oh,
we
that's
did try to
just
buy
sorry,
it from
Jerry.
okay. They said no.
Anyway, enough history.
Fascinating.
Hi there.
Now redwoods.
To the redwoods. Nothing else.